Welcome to Shooby Dooby Doo Wop, a podcast where we talk about pop music. We're halfway through our deep dive of the UK Top 10 Singles Chart of the 9th of November 1982, so that's all pretty exciting. I'm Andy Robinson.
And I'm James Cook.
So, James, there we go. We've gone numbers 10 to 6, haven't we, with this chart? This is part 2. We're going to go numbers 5 to 1. Shall we reiterate what we've missed?
Yes.
Let's do it. Up 10 to number 10 this week, it was Man-Eater by Darryl Hall and John Oates.
Spoiler, the Man-Eater is New York City.
You've spoiled it. Up 24 to 9, The Girl Is Mine by Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney.
Two pop icons come together and make a novelty record.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, but nonetheless, a non-mover at number 8, it was I Wanna Do It With You by Barry Manilow.
The world's least sexy come on.
Down 3 to 7, it was Star Maker by The Kids from Fame.
Big school play after party come down vibes.
Up 5 to 6, it was Ooh La La La, Let's Go Dancing by Kool and the Gang.
Now with 50% more Lars than conventional pop songs.
All the songs featured can be found in our Spotify and YouTube playlist, links in the description. And if you join our Patreon community, you can get access to our bonus tracks. Half a dozen songs that are in the chart but aren't in the top 10. Here's a taste of what you can expect in that.
What a song this is.
Yeah, go on.
And it just builds and builds and gets bigger and bigger.
That's a good metaphor for life if ever I've heard one.
I am a strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
And I am going to get what I want.
You are?
Holding on to 16 as long as you can. Oh man, that just cuts like a knife, doesn't it?
But as it turns out this week, what I've learned is the power of memory, the power of associative thought.
The therapeutic benefit of this podcast is we're really scratching the surface, I think. Here.
Yeah.
Join our community now at patreon.com/ShoobyPodcast.
Number 5.
Up 13 to 5, it's Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
His second biggest UK hit and his first single since leaving Motown.
Yeah. Whenever I play guitar, just presume that there's always more to it. And this I'm calling the essential building blocks. It's sort of going, it's something like that, like a B flat, a C minor 7th, a little G minor, A flat, E. I mean, that's appealing, isn't it?
Yep.
That chord progression a little bit made me think it's trying to catch your eyes. You know that song is do 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 size. Trying to catch your, you know I said it.
I don't think we can
falling on a star.
I don't think we can get done for copyright if no one knows what the hell you're singing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I deliberately sang it badly with the wrong notes and the wrong words to avoid the blatant.
Waiting for a Star to Fall.
Yeah, it reminded me of that a little bit.
Okay.
Chordally.
It's also reggae tinged, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's another reggae tinged song in this top 10.
Marvin is a man who needs some emotional stability. He is ill, isn't he? He's struggling. What he needs can't help the feeling. He needs sexual healing. I like the fact he rhymes, you're my medicine. Why don't you open up and let me in?
When he sings Baby, I was sick this morning, I was thinking, how is this attractive? Is that your chat-up line?
Yeah.
Hey, baby, I was sick this morning. Oh, cool.
He wants flu sex. As I heard someone describe it once. Have you heard the very last line?
Yep.
Yeah, do it.
It's just in the fade out. If you listen through headphones, you go, hang on, what? And you rewind it and you go, oh my God, he does. He says, please don't procrastinate. It's not good to masturbate. Marvin, you're not doing it right.
He's using what they call, he's not a fan of the edging technique.
No. I mean, it's not really a love song, is it?
I don't think so. I mean, I had an argument
It's quite selfish, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I had an argument with my friend with Let's Get It On, let's call it the other big Marvin Gaye leg over song. My friend thought Let's Get It On was quite romantic. I think, no. This is a horny man, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doing some convincing.
When I get that feeling, I need sexual healing. Sexual healing is good for me. Yeah. Not you, not even us. Me. Unless, of course, he means sexual healing is good for people who have ME.
Right, okay. Oh, James, I don't know you in this way, but you must be such a sensitive lover with these attitudes. There's a bit, to get off the subject while we're both not looking at each other in the eye. I
am. Come on.
There's a YouTube comment underneath. Adnan Khan, TY2SL, he wrote, for some reason, I remember hearing this exactly 9 months before I was born, which made me laugh a little bit.
Nice.
What can you say? It's a classic, isn't it? We all know it. I like it enough. It's not one of my favourites of all time, but, you know, it's a dirty record. I mean, you know, for a top 10, we've already talked about the onanism whispered at the end. The whole sentiment of it, I think, is pretty full on. Another good YouTube comment was, this was from the lady 2085. She talks about the memories of it, of seeing it coming on the radio, seeing a dad singing it to a mom, and then them both being allowed to go out and play all of a sudden and not be
Kids, off you go.
So I like the notion that you know, it gets people going, this song.
It clearly does. But listening to the top 10 this week, the thing I've noticed, and maybe it's the headphones, they've really turned up the treble, haven't they, on everything in the 80s. It's very crisp sound, isn't it?
We're talking about 80s production techniques. Go on. I mean,
like the clapping noises on this. Is it claps or one of the drum noises on this? It's just It's like I had to turn my headphones down.
Okay, that's interesting.
I found it so sharp.
I mean, they used to have a thing for hand claps on the old program drums because it's got a very programmed drum. It starts off with a drum machine type of setup, doesn't it?
It's all. There are no real drums on this.
Okay,
it's the TR-808, the Roland TR-808, the famous drum machine. Marvin Gaye apparently wanted to use as few musicians as possible.
Okay.
He programs the drums on it. He does the keyboards on it. The only other people on it are Gordon Banks, not that one, who was Marvin Gaye's brother-in-law, and Harvey Fuqua, who was Berry Gordy's former brother-in-law, and he's on it. And it's Harvey Fuqua at the beginning. It's him whispering.
Ah, cool.
Wake up, wake up. That's him.
I don't know much about Harvey Fuqua. He's been involved in loads of music in the past. I hear his name in music.
He did loads of stuff with Marvin Gaye.
There's a cover version George Michael does of it on YouTube. It sort of suits George Michael's aspirations, doesn't it?
He aspires to have sex, is that?
If we're being Freudian about it, then it's a human drive that gets everybody going for every reason, apparently. James, what do you make of that notion?
Yeah, can we talk about the songwriting credits instead?
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot where I was.
So Odell Brown has a songwriting credit on it as well.
Who's she?
He, a jazz organist who worked a lot with Marvin Gaye. But also David Ritz is a credited songwriter.
Inventor of the cracker?
No, he's a writer. He was working for Rolling Stone magazine. He went to interview Marvin Gaye, and apparently he said the phrase to Marvin Gaye, sexual healing, and Marvin Gaye liked the phrase and wanted to write a song about it. Then there are different accounts about how much else David Ritz did.
Oh, go on, tell me more. I'm all ears.
What happened? He was in Belgium. David Ritz goes to see him. Marvin Gaye gets out some quite extreme pornography to show him. And David Ritz says, words to the effect of, you need some sexual healing. Yeah. Marvin Gaye says, oh, that's a good title for a song. And then Ritz says, Marvin Gaye says to him, you should write a poem. And then David Ritz writes some stuff down, gives it to Marvin Gaye, and Marvin Gaye then turns it into the song.
Okay.
However, that is disputed.
By whom?
Other members of the group. So David Ritz initially sues for partial credit. He wants $15 million. But the case has to be dropped because there's insufficient evidence. But then after Marvin Gaye passes away, his estate settles with David Ritz and has now given him songwriting credit on it, because apparently David Ritz claims he has interview tapes with Marvin Gaye in which Marvin Gaye says, these are great lyrics you wrote.
Right.
And he says he's got that, and that's why they've settled. So that's why he's down as a writer on the song.
They're incredibly litigious, the Marvin Gaye estate, I think. Or they're all, if not litigious, I don't know that much about it. They're always involved, put it that way. They're not like Olivia Rodrigo recently. She did, well, a few years ago now, she did a record called Brutal, which sounds, for all intent and purposes, like Pump It Up by Elvis Costello. Everyone said to Elvis Costello, you're going to sue her. He said, well, that'd be ridiculous, bearing in mind that I got it from Bob Dylan or whatever he was claiming. I'm not into Marvin Gaye estate for suing.
They're trying to protect him, his memory, aren't they? I think that's a different thing from you trying to protect yourself. If Elvis Costello was sadly no longer with us, would his estate then sue?
It's a good point, possibly. You know, thieving other people's work as we don't do in this podcast by playing records because we can't use it for copyright, thieving other people's work without permission is not cool, is it? But I think Marvin Gaye estates sometimes, I think, come on, calm down. There's Marvin Gaye records early on that are certainly reminiscent of blues and soul and gospel and, other records. Come on, everybody. You need to calm down, as Taylor says.
2 things.
Yeah.
Number 1, Marvin Gaye's cousin is in the Wu-Tang Clan.
Cool.
Secondly, who does he want sexual healing from?
New York City.
That's right.
Number 4.
Down 3 to this week's number 4. It is Culture Club with the question, do you really want to hurt me?
Well, do you? So this was their 3rd single.
Oh, really? I thought it was their first one. I thought it was their grand announcement.
Well, the first 2 they released didn't even break the top 100.
Interesting.
So they put out 2, nothing. And then this one, boom, number 1. Do you remember how it got to number 1?
Is it something like they went on top of the pops because someone else couldn't make it? Something like that?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
It was Shakin' Stevens pulled out. Culture Club went, we'll do it. They were a sensation.
Yeah.
There were headlines in the newspapers.
The next day?
Yeah.
Well, the day after from Top of the Pops.
What is that?
He caused a stir, didn't he?
Yeah. Everyone was like, is it a boy? Is it a girl? What, is Boy George a boy? Is that the question you're asking? The newspapers?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason he called himself Boy George, isn't it? I mean, he especially, this record caused a fuss, didn't it, when it came out? You cannot deny it.
Sounds like it should be a cover. If someone had said that, this is an old reggae song, you'd go, oh, really? But it isn't. This is written by, the songwriting credit is for all the members of Culture Club.
That's a good band tip, isn't it? Give everyone the credit. Keeps you together. Oh, no, it didn't with Culture Club. My apologies.
They split up, they came back together, and now 3 of them are together, and John Moss, the drummer, isn't.
There's a great BBC4 documentary a few years ago about Culture Club. It's not an expensive one. I think they just give them handheld cameras to film recording their new album. It's one of the best music documentaries I've ever seen. It sort of explains Culture Club because you've got Boy George and his relationship with the drummer John Moss that caused trouble, but they're reuniting. The bass player Mikey, he's kind of staying out of it. The guitar player Roy wants to be in a rock band and he kind of wants to be shagging birds and taking drugs and having a great time, but he can't do it because he's in a psychodrama of Boy George and his ex-relationship. It's a great documentary and it made me sort of think about Culture Club as a band rather than Boy George.
Boy George and 3 blokes.
Yeah. Do you like the record?
It's a classic.
It's a classic. I mean,
again... It's simple, but, effective, isn't it?
It's so effective it made me, again, because you give it... I've been listening to it this week. Let's call it with her ear to talk about it. I mean, the intro, it's all, here's the first line. You know what it is instantly. You can hear the song already. That's a great intro. I'd like that intro just when you walk in rooms or here I am. I've come for some fish and chips, whatever it is. It sounds like a classic.
And it's a universal emotion, isn't it?
Yes.
The wronged person.
Yes.
Going, do you really want to hurt me?
I was always not too bothered about this song. Watched Mark Ronson at Glastonbury once doing a set. He introduced Boy George. On he came and he went, give me time. And the crowd melted. And sometimes for me, seeing a song that I know but I'm not bothered about, seeing it in a communal atmosphere and how everyone loves it will make me love that song forever.
Seeing it in the context of people who really love it,
yeah,
makes you see what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that I've seen a few people live who've done songs. That'll be Boy George now saying...
Stop using that copyrighted content.
That's my phone. No, I have that tone so I can go, I'm going to answer my phone. My apologies. I'm going to answer my phone. So Rick Astley for one... I mean, you can't ignore the way Never Gonna Give You Up affects the crowd. Lionel Richie, I've seen him doing Dancing on the Ceiling. I didn't give a toss about that song. And yet that live experience... All right, then.
Did you watch the video?
I didn't. Tell me about it.
It starts with a court case. Boy George is up there in the dock. The jury are dressed as the black and white minstrels,
right,
which is problematic.
All right. What with the blackface?
Yep. Then it flashes back to 1936, like a Weimar cabaret setting. Everyone in the video is in appropriate period dress for the time, apart from Boy George, who just can't be bothered. Yeah. He's just dressed like Boy George, walking around singing for a bit. And then it cuts back to the courtroom. And then it cuts to 1957. Again, everyone is in appropriate period dress, apart from Boy George, who's just walking around as Boy George, singing the song. And it goes back to the courtroom.
How do they define 1957? Where do they?
Well, they put up a caption.
Right. Simple.
They tell you. They go, "This is 1957," and you go, oh, "They're all vaguely in 50s dress, apart from that one guy." And then it cuts back to the courtroom, and you think, "Is he on trial for not joining in?"
I get ya. He was on trial later, wasn't he? But not for not joining in, for having a bloke with a radiator, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you got to like Boy George, haven't you? You've got to, is he what they call a national treasure?
He's a very good pop songwriter.
Yes.
And he's written a song that sounds like it could have been written at any time.
I'd forgotten about the bit that goes. There's a mild allusion to it going dubby. I mean, it's one of quite an insipid dub, but when the bass goes dum 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 dum, and there's a little break, and the drums start doing all this light dub. I liked it. I'd forgotten all about that.
Again, it's another reggae tinged song in this top 10.
Another reggae tinged song.
Do you really want to hurt me, New York City? I'm going to keep doing it until you're sick of it, and then you come through the other side again.
I'm enjoying it. To be honest, I'm a bit annoyed you did it first.
Number 3.
A non-mover at number 3, Mad World by Tears for Fears. Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith. This song, written by Roland, sung by Kurt.
I mean, again, it's a classic, isn't it? I've enjoyed it listening to this week. I thought I knew it. We're talking about 80s production and how it could be annoying a bit earlier. I think the 80s production on this is brilliant, actually.
I think it's definitely the most interesting production.
Yeah.
God, I sound like an old...
No, you're all right. You are. Well, we are, aren't we?
Yeah,
but we are talking about the music, and we have, it's I like it. There's a final chorus, there's a drum beat coming. It's got some mad noises in a mad world. I always think of did you ever watch Harry and Field and Smashing Nicely?
Yes.
So the chorus Mad World, I always think of Paul Whitehouse circling his finger outside his head like a forehead. But, I mean, it surprised me this week. I've got into this song.
Yeah.
Shall we do the chords while we're here?
Go on, then.
It's essentially E minor, G, different key maybe, D, A.
Isn't that Wonderwall?
Well, not quite, but they're all the same building blocks, aren't they? And then I like it because it's just E minor. I find it kind of sad. That's going the best I ever had. So it's just E minor and A for a bit going on, and then you think, what are you going to do for the chorus? Roland and Kurt, and they just go. Carry on, Mad World. Just stay on the E minor and A. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah.
The building blocks are simple, but yet what they do with it. Sorry if I'm being annoying with a guitar, but I feel it's. We're talking about the structure of the song.
Roland Orzabal was 19 when he wrote this song. He was living in Bath, and he looked out of his window and he wrote the song Mad World. He has since said, "Not that Bath is very mad. I should have called it Bourgeois World."
Did you?
It sounds like the kind of shop they'd have in Bath.
I tell you what, it does sound like they'd have that kind of shop.
Is it New York City?
There's I thought we'd get it early rather than ending on it. As a 5-year-old, can you remember anything about the lyrics? Did they? I mean, I
don't remember this from when I was 5. I remember it years later when I got into Tears for Fears.
Right.
Later.
Did you have a Tears for Fears phase in your life?
Still in it, mate.
Oh, cool.
I love a bit of Tears for Fears.
Cool.
They weren't writing for a 5-year-old back then, were they?
No.
With their B-side, Ideas for Opiates, and their album, The Hurting.
No, they weren't.
No.
I mean, but weirdly, James, they were writing for a new 13-year-old. Dig the new breed, just moved in. Hey, man, I was a crazy mixed-up kid. As a 13-year-old, just turned off. I liked all the words in there when they're talking about going to school and being very nervous and the teacher not knowing you, looking right through you. I related to that as a 13-year-old. Also, the line, I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad. The dreams on which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. That's a strong line, isn't it?
That's a reference to Arthur Janov.
He of the Primal Scream fella.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, there's a thing that he says where if you dream that you're dying, when you wake up, you'll feel amazing. because you're not dying.
Explain who Arthur Janov is. I don't know nothing about him. I do really, but I think it really helped this bit.
Well, if you know about him, you should say who he is, because I've got a very, very surface level knowledge
Okay,
of him.
well, as it turns out, I don't know that much about him. I think he invented not invented, he was a big proponent of the primal scream type of philosophy, where you basically scream your head off to work out your childhood demons. John Lennon was a massive fan of it. That's how I know about it.
Yeah, Tears for Fears is a reference to his writings, apparently.
Okay.
In the mid-'80s, Tears for Fears met him, and they were disappointed. They said he was too Hollywood.
Okay.
I thought, well, you better not meet anyone from Hollywood then, mate.
Quite.
He said he wanted the band to write a musical for him, and they were like, you're all right. The Primal Scream musical. I mean, now that would be a jukebox musical based on the back catalogue of Primal Scream. But at the time, it'd just be people yelling. It'd be like Cats, but if someone had trod on the cats.
Are you aware of the bit at the end?
Halargian World?
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought it was a illogical world.
Yeah.
That was good.
That would make sense, ironically.
Halargian. That's from a planet they were talking about, an imaginary planet. Them and the producer were talking about when they were on the planet Halarge or whatever, and they made it a private joke. I mean, you know, they put a little private joke at the end of their...
You know what this song needs? Needs a joke.
Needs a little private joke at the end that no one understands. I played it a couple of people. I said, what do you think what this is? And the one person said, I think it's a logical world. And when I played it, the other person, they said, is this what you spend your time worrying about, Andy? I mean, I've got kids to look after, mouths to feed. What are you playing with this? So, yeah, Halargian World at the end of it. It's a little joke.
It's like the Pompatus of Love, isn't it?
Yeah. And the
What is
Steve
that?
Miller song, The Joker, they made up a word. I find it a really trommel-lamious notion to make up some words. Did you see the version Kurt and his daughter sang during, when everyone was releasing videos of lockdown? No one had any attention. I need a little bit. Him and his daughter put out a lovely little version I liked.
Yeah. I mean, this version sold 500,000, but that would be massively outsold and outperformed by the 2003 cover by Michael Andrews and Gary Jules, when it was done in a sort of John Lewis advert style for the movie Donnie Darko, which is a movie about teenage angst, and you can see why they chose this song.
I liked that version at the time. I did not care for Donnie Darko so much. That was the best bit of it for me personally. But again, when I heard that song, whenever that came out, it made me go, "Oh, yeah, it's a good song, isn't it?" Good cover version.
Number 2.
Up 3 places to this week's number 2. It is Heartbreaker by Dionne Warwick. I love this song. I mean...
She's not said her name right, has she?
Yeah, well, we did just have a little debate. You can pronounce it Warwick if you want. The correct pronunciation is Warwick.
Warwick, as in Warwickshire.
Yeah.
Warwick Castle.
Song written by the Bee Gees. Let's drop that in early.
Morris says he wished he'd kept it for them.
It's a great song, isn't it?
It is a phenomenally good song. Do you know who doesn't like this song?
I would imagine Dionne Warwick.
Dionne Warwick was not a fan. She quite likes how successful it was.
She likes the money.
Yeah. She said she cried all the way to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's got a beautiful chord progression. I won't do it for this song. The sophistication of the writing, the melody made me think this is a complicated song. It's not really. All the chords you would expect to find in the key, apart from a little bit of hither and thither. But it's so beautiful, this song.
Just the Bee Gees were so good at writing pop songs. With this formula, they have another hit a few years later with Chain Reaction with Diana Ross.
Yeah, I mean, like You Win Again, they did for themselves. They kept that one themselves. They've got they're great songs, aren't they? I think Dionne does a brilliant job on this. So she's so lovely the way she sings it. My love is stronger than the universe. My soul is crying for you, and it cannot be reversed. All this little bit of beauty in there.
Yeah, she's probably banging it out for someone who apparently wasn't keen on the song.
Yeah. Another song with the key changing, about the 4th or 5th already this week. So loads of key changes in it. They put it in you don't hear it so much now in pop music. Very rarely. The key change fell out of favour. I mean, there's one in that new Sabrina Carpenter song, that Please, Please, Please. She's quite good, actually. She puts a little key change in a verse.
Is it because it became such of a trope with the likes of Westlife?
Westlife killed the key change.
Westlife killed the key change.
Maybe. I mean, it is a...
That's the Buggles follow-up single.
I like a key change personally. That can be overused. Certainly gives a chorus for the third time used a new lease of life a new breath of life and fresh air, new breath of fresh air, new lease of life, all that stuff, doesn't it? So I loved it at the time, sort of not secretly, because I was in my 60s phase, so I liked Dionne Warwick. She was already in the bag. Thank you, Bee Gees. Thank you, Dionne. And thank you for all the musicians who played on it.
Yeah, and thank you to the producers, Barry Gibb, Albie Galutin and Carl Richardson, the team that also did Grease by Frankie Valli.
Really?
Which is by far and away the best song in Grease.
The Bee Gees wrote Grease as well, didn't they?
Did they write the musical Grease?
They wrote the song.
Albie Galutin, what did he do for the first time in the song Stayin' Alive?
The first time? What could he? Albie Galutin, who... He was very tolerant. That's a joke. My apologies. Hang on, I've just got to go outside and punch myself in the face. What did he do for the first time in Staying Alive? I don't know. James, go on.
He created the first commercial drum loop.
Really?
Yep, he was the first one to do that.
What do you mean commercial?
I don't know. That's what it said.
Sorry.
Like in a chart hit.
Okay.
I suppose. Who has broken Dionne Warwick's heart?
In the past, who are relationships?
Yeah.
I don't know.
For her to be singing about.
Please don't say a fella from New York City.
I'm not going to say a fella from New York City.
I'm going to say New York
I'm just
City.
going to say New York City. It's a terrific song. It's a terrific pop song.
Yeah. I've got nothing else about it really, apart from...
I like they turn it on the Heartbreaker. Why do you have to be a Heartbreaker?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? This isn't on me. This is you're doing Heartbreaker, guy or girl or city.
Yeah. I like the little chord change that goes into the chorus. There's an A major seventh, and then she goes an A minor major seventh. We feel the same. Why do you have to? You know, just little tricks like this in. Sorry for murdering that song again, but I'm hoping since we can't play the records, at least it will remind you a little bit of what we're banging on about.
The UK's number one.
Up one to number one. Eddie Grant, I Don't Wanna Dance. Who doesn't he want to dance with?
New York City.
No.
What?
No. That's no. This is the payoff. He doesn't want to dance with the UK.
How do you mean?
That's what this song's about.
Oh, really?
It's about his disillusionment with how he felt the UK was going in the early 80s.
Okay.
He said, I don't want to dance can mean that you don't want to go out on the dance floor, or it could mean that you don't want to go along with an idea.
Well done, Eddie Grant.
I am basically a writer of protest, he says. That's what it's about. Obviously, so we're 4 years into the Thatcher government.
Yeah.
The Conservatives taken over, very controversial government, made a lot of changes that people didn't like. And that is what this song is actually about.
Let's maybe want to dig into the verses a bit more then to see what he's renouncing. Well, this changes things substantially.
He says, I don't want to dance with you, baby, no more. So basically, I don't want to be part of the UK.
The feeling is bad. The feeling is bad.
But I'll never do something to hurt you, though. Yeah. I'm not going to commit an act of treason.
Okay.
I love your personality, but I don't want our love on show. I don't want people to know that I'm from the UK.
Right.
I think it's insanity, girl, the way you go.
Yeah, why not? I'm liking this. I'm liking this new change. I know it's only superstition, baby, but I won't look back. Even though I feel your music, baby, that is that. That changes it when it's a country is referring to, isn't it?
There's more in this song than you think. And I didn't know that until this week when I was researching it.
If Eddie Grant said it himself, I'm less inclined to criticise it because the writers admitted it. I mean, it's just beautiful. In the chorus when it comes in, don't wanna dance, don't wanna dance, don't wanna. Lovely record. Simple song again. 4-chorder.
Eddie Grant's second number one after
Electric Avenue.
No,
was it?
No. I'll give you a clue. It was 14 years before this.
Oh, what's his big record?
And he was in a band. Yes,
Come back.
The theme tune to Crossroads. No, Baby Come Back by the Equals,
love that
which he
record.
wrote as well.
I saw him, I watched it once years ago on Top of the Pops 2, and, you know, it's when Top of the Pops 2, they were bringing, like, old pop stars back to make whatever weird programme they decided they were trying to do there. And Eddie Grant was sort of singing it, miming along. There were loads of kids in the audience. And then he carried on singing it after the record faded out. And even the kids were joining in and singing along and keeping this song going. It was strangely touching for an episode of TOTP2. Also, it could be an answer, as we've done to this week. We had Marvin Gaye and Barry Manilow duking it out for who's the sexiest man in the UK top 10. I kind of like the fact that it might be an answer to Cool and the Gang as well. Let's go reggae dancing. Eddie Grant, a bit later on. Nah, I don't want to go. The feeling is...
There's a narrative, isn't there, to this top 10?
Yeah, I think there is. It's definitely got it's got a vibe, as they say, haven't you?
In 1987, why was Eddie Grant hanging around Alton Towers with, among others, Cliff Richard, Emlyn Hughes, Kevin Kline, Tom Jones and Sheena Easton?
Did they get one of them like discount tickets?
They all had Merlin passes. And they were going to go to Alton
Go
Towers.
on, I'm intrigued. Why were they hanging around Alton Towers?
They were all on Princess Anne's team on Royal It's a Knockout.
All right, good fact.
I mean, I remember that programme being on, and I remember it being absolutely pilloried by the press. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm going, it wasn't that bad. It was all right. What did you think it was going to be? It's just celebrities doing silly stunts. It's basically the proto-Taskmaster.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
And Eddie Grant was part of it, so he doesn't want to be part of the UK. But when the royals come and ask him, do you want to come and put on this silly costume and twat around at Alton Towers? He's like, yes, please, Princess Anne.
There's a cover version of this that I heard once upon a time by a band called Anal. Right, and
God, really?
yeah.
Oh.
And what happens with that band is what my memory of it. I should look it up at another time. I think he goes like, I think it only lasts about a minute or something. He goes like, I don't want to dance with you, baby, no more. And then there's just a racket for a short amount of time, industrial noise, and that's the end of that song. I'm gonna say it's not as catchy as Eddie Grant.
Yeah, I think on balance, I'd prefer this one.
I can't imagine Anal getting on It's a Royal Knockout either. Mind you, the way things have gone these days, who knows?
By my reckoning, at least half this chart is in some way reggae tinged.
Okay.
1982, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be like new romantics and post-punk and all of that. But it wasn't. It was actually reggae. That appears to be the dominant pop music there.
It does. Have I mentioned that there's a key change in this song at the beginning, did I?
No.
There's another key change in it. So you go, again, reggae influence, key changes popping off all over the place, left, right and centre in 1982.
That's the way to have a top 10 hit in 1982. Reggae and a key change. 2 bits. What was your favourite song from this chart?
Look, James, we're not going to fight about this. Okay, I told you.
Yeah.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. My favourite, despite spending my pocket money, let's call it, on what I've just mentioned, The Girl Is Mine, I'm going to have to go for Heartbreaker because it's gave me such a lovely little thrill and it's made me appreciate the beauty of let's call it the craft of the writing. But, you know, there's loads of good records in there, isn't there?
I think the one I will listen to again is probably Man Eater. Look at me going for the number 10 record. Let me go for the least popular one to show how cool I am.
I tell you where it'd be good to listen to that.
We don't need to end that. We all know. We can all move on.
If you've enjoyed this week's show, please like and subscribe. Keep listening. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Like I say, definitely try and give that top 10 a listen, or at least some of the songs. It will make everything better in my point of view.
And also on that playlist you will hear a bunch of other songs that have been tacked onto the end, and you might be thinking, what are they doing here? Well, because in our special bonus episodes, for which you can become a subscriber, you can join our little club, you can hear us talk about the songs that were in the top 40 or even the top 100 in this week that didn't make the top 10 in our special bonus episodes. This week featuring, we've got a little story about Jack and Diane. We've got a story about a band who were cut in half. We've got Brian Eno's favourite record of all time. And a TV theme tune.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time, shooby-dooby-doo.